met a girl called Lola and I took her back to my place.
All right. We are back here, Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. How you doing today? Got a little different view of the cave here today. Most of you are not aware of the cave and its contents. There's so much more than what you see in the background. And some people say to me, Mark, is that a green screen in back of you when you do the show? No, those are actual posters from my record store days. Posters you won't find anywhere. They're all over this place. For those of you who have been here in the cave, it's a marvel. There's a lot going on here. There's all kinds of stuff here. But the best background is the giant posters. You got my Floyd wall over there, which you've seen plenty of times in different episodes. But we're just mixing it up a little bit today. How about that? What do you think? So another good week here in the cave. I got a message from Frank Sassano who said, Mark, have you done this band, this band, this band? And I have done all the bands, not as much as one would think, but one of them was this band. And then I remembered that this song came on last week in the car with my wife, Sarah, and we both turned it up. We turned it up and we both sing it. We're like, boy, this is a really good song. Like, you just forget about how good the song is. So Frank, you were dialed into something because it made the list of something we should do soon. But we're talking about the band the Kinks, right? We've covered the Kinks here in the cave. We've done Father Christmas multiple Christmas times, of course. We did Come Dancing, which was my introduction to the Kinks. Think about that for a minute. Come Dancing was like 1982, right? 1982-ish, when I had MTV. That's the first time I ever heard a Kinks song. We may have covered Lola. I'm not sure. I'll have to check into that. But AOR staple, classic rock, which I was not introduced to until 1983 and 4 when I moved to Connecticut. And I've covered Living on the Thin Line, which, thanks to Tom Parcell, introduced me that because it was featured in The Sopranos. And what a song that is. That immediately went to heavy rotation. Once I heard that, it's one of those songs that was so catchy. I was like, how do I not know this song? So the Kinks, plenty to like, but shocked to read that the song we're doing today, Destroyer, is off their 19th studio album. They have 24 studio albums, 5 live albums, 50 million records sold, dozen in the top 20. It goes on and on and on. Formed in 1963, of course, Ray and Dave Davies. Part of the British Invasion. Hit it big in 1965 with You Really Got Me. We didn't know that the Kinks sang that song. We thought that was Van Halen who sang that song. I'm telling you, that's the case. I was shocked to hear that song was not Van Halen's. But that's my age. If you're 4 or 5 years older than me, I know who you are. I'm not going to say who you are out there, but I know who you are. Then you're like, Mark, come on, Kinks. But it's interesting for those of us who were born in 1968 versus some of you who were born in 1963 or 4. Huge difference in music in many arenas. I mean, when you were in high school, a lot of the stuff, like, it's just interesting talking to you guys because the prog rock was not there for me, first of all. And things like the Kinks, that's classic rock for us when, that wasn't high school. But the song Destroyer released September 28th, 1981 in the United States, not a UK single. I would like to read more about that. Why didn't they release this in the UK? Fascinating. This was a leftover from their album Low Budget, the album before. It's the 18th studio album, which had like 5 singles on, including Superman. I read that they didn't release it because they're having a hard time mixing it. So what does that mean? They were mixing other songs, but for whatever reason, this song wasn't flowing, and they ended up finally going to New York City to record it at the Power Station. You hear about all these recording studios, Power Station, Electric Ladyland, and then out west, Sound City, things like that. It's always interesting to hear about that. So Anyway, this single, it was the first single off this record, picks up where the band left off with Lola, because this is the same character, the transvestite, the main character, brings Lola back to his apartment and then increasingly gets more and more paranoid. That's the story. He says right there, I met a girl named Lola. Took her back to my place. Definitely more rock and roll for what the Kinks were doing, and it's great. They use the riff from the 1964 song All Day and All of the Night. So a little homage to their older music, but it charted and it got a lot of radio play. And we heard this the other day. I hadn't heard it in a long time, and I was like, Destroyer, this is great. Let's do this. And then Frank, you hit it home and said you haven't done the Kinks lately. There's more from the Kinks catalog we should cover, so I'm not going to go deep into it, but hugely influential band. Of course, part of that, again, that British invasion, but a very, very important band. And again, I was not introduced to them until MTV would come dancing. Little did I know that they were a legendary band by that point. But that's your song of the day. We're getting in at under 8 minutes. Pretty darn good. Destroyer by the Kinks. If you don't know this song, you're playing it today. If you haven't heard it in a while, you're playing it today. If you know it and you have it in whatever, you're playing it today. And if you don't like the Kinks, you're playing it today. Doesn't matter. It's your song of the day. You gotta play it. Whatever you're doing today, I hope it involves music. And as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.